What's up, guys? Uh, been a long time coming, man. We're getting there. It's August 11th, a few days after my birthday, which is normally my key to really get in there and start preparing for the season. I'm really excited. Learned a lot last year. You know, I wanted to go over some of the successes and failures of last year. I wanted to do a recap last year, and I didn't. I had limited success trying a new thing, but that's one of the things I'm going to talk about is how do you rate success. I actually went without a deer last year. I passed on the does. I passed on a lot of smaller bucks. And, you know, for those of y'all that's been following the channel, I had in mind a 140 or better class deer, public land, hunting areas I've never been before. The purpose behind that was to use a new method of hunting that I've really just been studying for about 3 years now. Totally hunting bedding. Totally based on the wind and where I think the deer should bed. Going in blind. The theory behind this, because this was so new to me, was I can go into places I've never been, find and hunt deer, and hopefully succeed in finding mature deer. That said, I had 2 encounters, 2 separate bucks that would have went over 140. And to be honest with you, that was probably just as good. I mean, I'd have loved to got the kill on them. I didn't. I was learning how to film last year. I didn't get very good coverage. So, you know, it's been a challenge to learn how to set up, to carry it all in there and set up. You know, you really have to dedicate yourself to filming versus hunting, and that's a new challenge for me because I love the sport. You know, I love to hunt. The hunt is as important as anything. You know, even the kill, the enjoyment of it. Again, though, just to touch base on my methods. Methods are a wind-based type method. They rely on a deer's DNA, how a deer thinks. Now, I'm not talking about your does as much. I'm not talking about even your up to a 3-year-old deer. I think around the 3-year-old mark. They do some of this, but they also do some other things. But after the deer hits about 3.5 years old, and he's made it through a couple seasons, and in most areas, gotten lucky probably, and not been shot, or been shot at, maybe even wounded. And these deer, they figure out that, you know, their survival depends on them not making mistakes. Mistakes like being in an area that they can't drift without and letting somebody get in there. A deer can come into an area and bed in the thickest, most harshest things in the world. But you got to think, how easy is it for a really large deer to go through some of these Alabama pine thickets, these briar patches that I have no idea how anything can get through. And I know what you're going to say, yeah, they do it, we've all seen it, and I have too. But do you do that because you have to, or do you do that because you want to? I won't say they don't want to. I won't say they do it when we're shooting at them. When we go into their area and we catch them off guard. You know, that's probably a secondary plan. I know that they have to get hung up, and I've seen them go through it at 100 miles an hour. But on your hill terrain, anywhere with deep valleys, you know, river bottoms that come to hills, we have these ridges around. What I found is they're not bedding where I thought they were. They want that thick area. They want that thick terrain behind them. They want the wind blowing from behind them as they can see in front of them. I noticed a deer a few years ago, and this is part of it. part of the reason I started this is because this deer circled into a bedding area. Came down, circled in, straight into it, nose of the wind, and he turned back around and laid down. So he's looking down this hill, up on a ridge, passed by me. I probably could have shot him. I had a rifle at the time. But it made me think, you know, it was a smaller buck, but he was bedding in an area where I'd seen big deer. And what was that deer doing? Well, I got to thinking about it. He walked dead into the wind to go up there and lay down. And he did. He had thick cover behind him that nothing could walk through. So it made me think, you know, what is this deer thinking? Well, nothing can sneak up behind him. If a coyote or something gets after him, or a bobcat or whatever, odds are it's going to trail him by his ground scent. So he made that big circle down below where he could see, to where he would be able to watch anything following him coming in. He got up on this ridge that no man or even beast could just climb easily, and he was looking up down that hill with that thick cover behind him. Made me think. It's an interesting concept. One that I think that I'm going to continue to explore this year.